You know you.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the 10 Count Podcast, brought to you by Bodyslam.net. First off, want to say Merry belated Christmas. We got the New Year's coming. That's why we're live on a Tuesday night on the interwebs, as my boy CM Punk would probably say if he had a podcast. But we're closing off 2025 with a nice, solid episode. We're going to talk Monday Night Raw and how the WWE is closing or has closed their 2025, moving forward to a pretty epic 2026 with the SmackDown card we have and with the 1 year anniversary of Raw on Netflix. And Justin, how we doing today? How we feeling about closing out this new year? Well, this current year, I should say.
I'm ready for it to be over. I mean, the holidays are just crazy, dude. Let's be real. The holidays are crazy, especially with work. Last week we couldn't figure anything out, so we just decided, hey, we're allowed to take a week off. It's the holidays. And then we're like, oh, crap. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. That's when we usually record. So here we are. Yeah, no, it's just, it's a fun time, but it's also like a really stressful time at work. So, happy to be done with it all and, look forward to 2026 and what's to come for us as a podcast, wrestling as a whole. We have some rumors going around. We might see someone Y2J appear somewhere soon? Let's just go to the comments real quick. We have Matt saying, let's freaking go on YouTube. He says, was about to put something through my truck window. This podcast will calm me down now or make me want to run through a brick wall. Either or, let's go. We have on Twitch, Lamper King 2002. Guys, any idea on Anna Jay's deal? Does it expire in January? That's a question for Corey, dude. I'm not sure. You see the speculation like I see the speculation. Clearly, people are assuming that Anna Jay is going to be appearing in WWE sometime soon, whether it be NXT. I'm assuming it would be NXT to start off, but not quite sure yet. That is definitely a question for our friend Corey Hayes over at bodyslam.net. Also from King, happy holidays. And then if you guys could guess Dave Finlay, Anna Jay, Britt Breaker, and KO Bros to wear. I'll start off, Ty, and then you can give your guesses. If this is just straight guesses, Dave Finlay and the KO Bros, off the top of my head, I feel like they feel like AEW to me, but I could also see, WWE swooping in and taking David Finlay and the KO Bros. And then Anna Jay, obviously, I'm thinking WWE once the contract's up. And as far as I know, Britt Baker is still locked away in Guantanamo Bay for the foreseeable future. Whenever that contract is going to end, your guess is as good as mine. They say that there's multiple years or whatever still on the contract. So Tony Khan saying that he would love to see Britt Baker back in AEW sometime soon. I don't know when the hell it's going to be. So stuck in Guantanamo Bay is my answer for Britt Baker.
Didn't he say he was hoping she'd be back soon, like months ago? So doesn't look like soon's happening for Britt Baker, but I don't know, man. I think, especially with the beginning of the year and the new year, I don't think a lot of movement happens with contracts unless it's like a Jericho kind of deal. So I think WWE's in a good spot. We are in the road to WrestleMania. Maybe we see someone pop up at the Royal Rumble. For the most part, I think we're pretty set in stone character-wise and superstar-wise what they're going to do WWE stuff. So if anything, these people could maybe go to AEW, maybe a TNA appearance. I don't know, man. I think WWE-wise, if they are going to pull the trigger, it's going to be not till April, May, where we might see some people show up. But hey, I could be wrong. There's always, like I said, the Royal Rumble, but lately the Royal Rumble really hasn't had too many surprise appearances. So I don't know, man. I guess I just think it's a bad time to maybe guess, and I could be wrong. But this time of year, it's all gearing to WrestleMania, man.
But that's the beautiful thing about having multiple companies. You don't know. Like, we've been talking about our friends of the podcast, The Righteous and Bear Bronson. I mean, Bear, we kind of saw what was going on with TNA and TNA extending him a contract offer. Hopefully, knock on wood, we will have Bear Bronson back on the show. Sometime once we can figure out schedules. But as for The Righteous, I mean, if you're a fan of the show, you saw myself especially. I mean, I was begging for The Righteous to show up on NXT to help out Tatum Paxley. And then the next night, they appear on TNA, which I'm super happy for them. Unbelievable. I can't wait to see this feud or storyline progress with the Hardys. I'm excited for that. But that's professional wrestling when there's so many different outlets for the talents to go to and just show what they've got. That's the beautiful thing about it. I mean, I think Chris Jericho is probably the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Guaranteed at this point. That you see all the tweets about pretty much even people in like licensing are pretty much expecting that they're going to be able to use Chris Jericho on products within the next week or so. I think actually his contract ends tomorrow. His contract with AEW ends tomorrow night. So people are already speculating maybe next week in Brooklyn for the first Monday Night Raw of 2026. Are we going to see Y2J? Or at that point, do you just wait until the Rumble later on at the end of January? What do you think, Ty?
Now, pull that trigger. Netflix, 1 year anniversary, January 6th. Brooklyn, pull that trigger. they want to make all the stops, like pull all the stops for this 1 year anniversary, especially for Netflix. And I think last year, they hyped it up so much, and it wasn't as great as it was expected to be. The match between Seth and CM Punk was stellar. That main event was fire. But I think they can really take lightning in a bottle and make it explode here, especially with we have the World Heavyweight Championship match. We have the women's tag team match with, the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea and Io, and then bringing a Y2J would be freaking stellar. And side note, first off, shout out to Bear freaking Bronson, dude. Second match in TNA, becomes the #1 contender for the TNA World Championship and becomes the IWTV World Champion. And again, let's try and think about all the champions that clutched out 2025 with gold around their waist heading into 2026 at the last minute, hitting buzzer beaters, right? We have Bear Bronson, we have Carmelo Hayes, and let's talk about, last night, the Usos, the 9-time World Tag Team Champions. And I had a feeling, man, I had a feeling that was going to happen. We can discuss in a little bit. But yeah, I think for Netflix, Raw, you gotta keep making it big, especially for the 1 year anniversary. So make that Y2J appearance.
You got DNC Digital on YouTube saying, I'd say Netflix, because if not, people will definitely expect Royal Rumble and kind of ruin the surprise. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. And Jericho, I believe he has history in Brooklyn, and it makes sense. But I just don't know where you fit him in on that show. Like, where is he surprising? Who is he? Dude. What are you cooking something up?
Dude, Gunther, man. Let him talk that shit to, like, with Gunther. Gunther's on his high horse.
You can't feed him to Gunther right away.
Not a match, but have that interaction.
Oh,
have that moment where they can little hash it out to, like, tease us for the future, because obviously, we have this career killer that is Gunther now. We saw what happened with R-Truth. He beat the shit out of him last night. So I think he's going to start, trying to go after some people that might be towards the end of their career. And who might that fall into that category? Chris Jericho. Oh, I hope Judas, but it's going to be
Break the Walls or Judas.
I freaking hope Judas, but it's going to be Break the Walls. How WWE plays things. I mean, look at Zack Ryder when he returns instead of Matt Cardona. Dolph Ziggler with his old entrance. It's just they're gonna do the break down the walls. It's just I can put money down on that and not be surprised at that reaction.
Listen, I think Cody is pretty much the only person that has been able to bring over his music and his gimmick from AEW. But that's also because it was, Cody at the time, I mean, you can go back in the archives of this podcast. And I mean, when Court was on, she's like, there's no way he's going to WWE. He's an AEW lifer. And then it happened. So, like, obviously you need to give him whatever he wants to lure the big fish from the company that he built. So I definitely think Break the Walls. I 100% think Break the Walls. And going to, you saying interrupt Gunther, it would be like now that you say it, like, they don't have to get into a feud right away, but him kind of interrupting, The Rock years and years and years ago for his WWE debut, it would be like a perfect full circle moment. So I am here for it. And I am loving all the comments on Twitch, on YouTube. Let's see. We got Matt. Ty was about to make the list. Good catch.
Hey, listen, I'll gladly be on the list. I will take honor if Jericho wrote my name down on that damn list.
And then we have on Twitch, is Roman or Bianca ever returning? I feel like they're telegraphing the Rumble win for Liv. Yeah, I think Bianca is going to return at the Rumble. If that's just me guessing and that's just my instinct, I think it's Bianca returning at the Rumble. And I truthfully think that Bianca might win the Rumble if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, Jade Cargill is the WWE Women's Champion. Why not set up Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania? And to Roman's point too, I think they're going to try to itch that Roman Cody 3. So who knows if Roman might pull this Royal Rumble out as well. Maybe he wins an Elimination Chamber instead, but I don't know, man. I think both those human beings that you mentioned in that comment are going to be Royal Rumbles this year.
Yeah, I just off the top of my head, I think Roman and Bianca are the two front runners to win the men and women's. I was actually listening to the Chris Van Vliet podcast, so shout out to Chris. Love that guy. He pretty much he brought up a stat of Roman in the Rumble, and Roman has had some pretty shitty luck in the Rumbles. You know, obviously he had that 4-year run as champion, so he wasn't in the Rumbles. But other than that, he has been runner up quite a few times. I like off the top of my head, I believe he was runner up like maybe 3 or 4, and at least 4, I would think. On YouTube, DNC Digital says, if I were Jericho, I'd do a Mania run, then go to AAA, then TNA, come back for SummerSlam, do a retirement run for Mania. So much talent he can work with. I agree. And the beauty about him potentially going to WWE is AAA can happen. TNA, they have the partnership. I mean, I'm sure you really haven't seen many main roster talents cross over to TNA, but if they want to work something out, I'm sure the partnership will allow it. We still have TNA debuting on AMC coming up, so that is going to be huge. You know, WWE is going to have something in their pocket to help TNA be successful on AMC, because if TNA is becoming successful, they want to hurt AEW. Let's be real.
Yeah. And DNC Digital said, would you guys put the title on Drew for a short amount of time and get it back to Cody before Mania? See, if I want them to pull the trigger on Drew. I know Court, if she was listening to this right now, would stab me through the screen. But the dude has just been on the downside of every title match, of every main, feud he's been in. And I think he deserves it. Why not give him the strap going into Mania? But unfortunately, I think he's going to lose, 3 stages of hell. I think the moment he lost to me was when he said that, say hi to your dad in hell for me. That was a hell of a line. Loved it. But I think that was the moment where, okay, can Drew really win this after using that line, in that promo? Maybe he does. But yes, I would love for that to happen. But I think Cody's locked in till Mania as champion.
I'm with you, Ty. I know Court would stab us, but I want to see it with Drew. I want to see Drew win the title from Cody. Like, I almost want it so badly to where you and I have discussed, like, the people want to see it, and then if you wait too long, it's gonna flicker out.
Yeah,
it's like people waiting for Sol Ruca and Zarya. We want to see him clash, but the longer you tease it and the longer you don't do it, it's just going to fade to black. And Aleister Black, whatever. I didn't mean to say that, but with Drew, I mean, Drew can always win it back. That's how good Drew is. Drew can get the heat. Drew can get the momentum whenever he wants. That's how damn good he is. But now's the time to do it. He is under Cody's skin. He is making Cody do things that Cody usually isn't used to doing. He's getting Cody all riled up. I think you got to pull the trigger. Even like, just like DNC Digital said, even if it's for a short amount of time, you can't keep letting Drew lose. You can't. He's doing way too damn good of a job. And then King on Twitch says, and Rhea turns on Io next Monday, and we get Io and Rhea. Yeah, I mean, that I think is where they're going with WrestleMania. So I don't know if we're going to get that for the Rumble, but I definitely think they want to go Rhea and Io again for Mania. And then
that would be a little interesting. I kind of don't have that feeling. I don't know if that's been talked about or whatnot on, the dirt sheets and on the internet, but I feel like they just really gained this friendship, and Rhea's just so over right now. So is Io. And I think they're going to play this back injury angle, which is why they probably will lose next week on Monday night, because they keep targeting that back, and she's always holding it nowadays, in the 2 beatdowns she got from the Kabuki Warriors. But I don't see them turning them. Maybe if it's like, to me, it would be a waste if it was like a friendly match, be like, hey, I want this match. I want to see who's better. But to me, I'd rather it be a feud, right? Because Rhea's done, losing to Io. She wants to show that she's better, that she can beat her. But I feel like that's got to be for a championship. So I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if that WrestleMania match is in our future, but could be, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, with the whole Io and Rhea not being able to beat her, I think that definitely is going to play a factor in the storylines coming into Mania season. And that's what, everyone's allowed to get their own opinion and everything. I just personally think that that's the route they're going to go. Then we have at DNC Digital send AJ to the for the debut TNA episode on AMC. I would love it. Send him. Go for it. 100,000%. I think AJ definitely needs to have at least one more match on TNA before he retires next year. At Sports Jedi Network, wanted to stop by, say hello, gentlemen. Wanted to say Happy New Year and appreciate you. Met you guys at Slammiversary at UBS. Rock on. Thank you, my friend. It was a pleasure meeting you as well. Keep crushing it. We were supposed to get to we have a call in, which I will get to. I don't even know. This is just on the fly right now, brother. We have, if it feels Julia is in a very similar position that Saraya was in WWE. They don't know what they have. Julia, you're right. They don't know what they have, and I think they're waiting. They're gonna eventually pull Blake Monroe up, I believe, in the near future. I don't know if it's going to be the near future, but I want to see Julia and Blake go at it because we've seen their work in Japan, and those two together make gold. We have this DNC, to your point, with them waiting too long for things. I feel like they're not doing the Asuka mistreats Kairi thing as much before. I was thinking how big the reaction would be if Kairi finally snaps.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a long time coming, right? Because last night they did have Asuka cut Kairi off and say, Kairi! And she kind of, cowered a little bit. But to kind of compact everything that was just said, I feel like this Kairi thing might take a while. I think that might go past WrestleMania. I think the Kabuki Warriors might take the tag titles to WrestleMania. I think they believe, at least the higher ups believe, that Asuka and Kairi deserve that run, and I think they do too. I mean, Asuka's amazing. I love what she's doing. I love the chemistry between Kairi and Asuka. They fit the tag team mold, and they are fun to watch as champions. So I feel like that turn might take a little bit, but when it happens, it's going to be awesome. And maybe we see an Io and a Kairi kind of rekindle that friendship that kind of was torn apart. And then to go back to Julia, man, I spoke about this before, dude. I get a little frustrated, man, because maybe with SmackDown going back to 3 hours this Friday, we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, that maybe we'll have some more oomph to her, more ability for her to, showcase what she's got and her personality, her in-ring ability. But when they threw that title on her, they just tossed on her because she's Julia and didn't give two shits what to do with her. And that was the frustrating thing. And that's why Chelsea Green, thankfully so, has the United States Championship back, because she is bouncing around AAA. She's feuding with TNA people. She's on SmackDown. She's defending the championship on NXT, on the SmackDown. She's a global presence. She's doing the work on social media, as we always talk about. And her and Ethan Page have this chemistry and this team, this team chemistry that is far beyond what a lot of people are doing. So she's bringing eyes to that championship. She's elevating it again. And when SmackDown goes 3 hours, I think we're going to see a lot more from her. And also the woman in that United States Championship field will do a lot better as well. So hopefully they don't, just muck around the 3 hours. Hopefully they make it meaningful. Hopefully they put their time in the superstars that deserve it. And we start to see more people, start to showcase and be more prominent and break into that main event scene. And that's what I'm hoping for with this 3 hour SmackDown. And
before we get to the comments again, last 2 weeks ago, we have been putting out this link on X, on Twitter, X. You can go to my X. It's at jstar02. You can leave us a voicemail. You can leave us a question. We will answer it live on air. This question came in right after we went off air. So we've been holding on to this one for 2 weeks. I totally forget what it says. So it might be a question dating back. I don't know, but definitely want to play it. So here it goes.
Hello, 10 Count. My name is Muggin Yusuf. 2025 has been somewhat of a mixed bag for WWE, and looking ahead, NXT needs some kind of revamp. Who do you think should move up in the new year?
So I think we're seeing that happen right now, right? We're seeing the free agents. We're seeing Javon go to Raw and SmackDown. We're seeing Trick go to Raw and SmackDown. And then obviously you and I have spoken Obafemi after Saturday night's main event.
Who got a nice little vignette on Raw last night.
Yes. So I think those are your answers. I mean, 2 weeks ago, this was probably playing right into when they started appearing as free agents, quote unquote. But yeah, those are definitely the three that I can't wait to see on the main roster.
Do you think they pull the trigger on any women? Because like, I know they're, you know, kind of putting some eggs in Sol Ruka's basket, but I feel like they can't let her go until, you know, we have the feud with, why am I blanking on her name?
Zarya.
Zarya. Thank you. We want that feud with Zarya to happen. And again, they had the ability when we spoke about it. They had the ability last week when Chelsea beat Sol Ruka. And what happened? The trigger was not pulled. They, you know, she speared both Alba Fire and Chelsea, and then we got the double. I forget Sol Ruka's finisher's name, but
Soul Snatcher.
I was like, come on, dude. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is the point of the teasing and the miscommunications and the anger between each other and the losing the titles and not, you know, Zarya not winning the Speed Championship back? Like, to me, dude, I'm so done with that shit. It's just like that needs to happen, in my opinion, before Sol Ruka can move on to the main roster. And who knows if it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, it's Sol's got to be the front runner, right? Being on Saturday Night Main Event and have, like you just said, like having the match with Chelsea and just them not pulling the trigger. There's still unfinished business down in NXT that you just said it. Like we want to see. We need to see that before we see Sol on the main roster, because it's like we invested so much time into waiting for this that maybe you have Zarya really, you know, turn on her, beat the shit out of her, and then we don't see her on NXT anymore. That's how they should do it. Like, all right, I guess you don't need to have a match, but you need the heel turn. You need the heel turn to put Zarya, to propel her as one of the top heels on NXT, and then you can have Sol go. Like, if you don't want to have the match, fine, so be it. But something needs to happen with them before Sol Ruka gets called up. And then, like, the other two, well, obviously we have Joe Hendry, who is going to be on SmackDown. And then you have Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe. Like, those are the next two that I would expect. But, you know, I don't know. We've been waiting for it, and you just got to be patient because they just have so much
talent.
So much talent, dude. So much talent that it's crazy. Like, NXT used to be a developmental brand, and now it's not. It is not a developmental brand. I don't care what people say. It is a third brand, and it's some goddamn good television.
That's
and probably I've said it, my favorite watch of any show.
Dude,
all
it
week.
is. It is. Thanks, DNC, for the follow. Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. So Becky Lynch would be the perfect first Mania opponent for Stephanie, or give Bayley her proper Mania send-off. I mean, we're supposed to get into Raw. I know Ty has a cutoff tonight. So maybe we'll just talk let's just talk to the chat, man. Yeah, let's just talk to the chat. So to that point, I'm loving what I saw last night with Bexy and Maxine. Maxine is really coming into her own, and I love Becky and her. Well, they said it on Sports Illustrated. I want her to say, hey, us on the 10 Count podcast, presented by bodyslam.net, Ty P and J Star, we love Becky Lynch. She is phenomenal. She is one of the best in-ring workers. So your friends at the 10 Count podcast also say it.
Yes.
Go say that on Monday Night Raw.
It's not just Sports Illustrated. It's not just the Bleacher Report. It is also the 10 Count podcast, brought to you by bodyslam.net. I think Becky's poised for a championship, at least fight, or even another reign. And Stephanie Valkyrie versus Becky is going to be epic. I think that is something we will see hopefully on this stretch to WrestleMania, or if not at WrestleMania. And I think that's why they kind of been keeping Becky in this Intercontinental run. You know, not only did she elevate that championship and get eyes on it, you know, she got to pass that guard to Maxine, not fully yet. I think we're going to see that very soon, but it's been nice to see her so involved on social media, you know, on Raw, you know, doing what she's doing. And then once she can move past the Intercontinental Championship and we can have a bunch more mid-carders start fighting for that and people care about that championship, she can start setting her eyes on Stephanie Valkyrie. And I can't wait for that because that's going to be epic.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for that either. DNC Digital on YouTube. Besides Saints, who do you guys think steps into the NXT main event scene when Trick, Javon, and Oba leave?
That's a tough question. That's why, like, I think that there's so much potential for the superstars, the men at least down there, to really start fighting for these positions, like you mentioned. But I feel like everyone is kind of that I would pick is kind of in their roots right now, in storylines, fighting for championships. Kind of like, my favorite, would be Ethan Page, but he is the North American champion. He's doing his things with Chelsea Green. So, like, I would love for him to get pulled back into the main event scene, but I think they're happy with where he's at. I think a big contender is Tony D'Angelo. If we remember, way back when, Tony D was the one that took the North American Championship away from Obafemi. So I think moving forward, I think we might see a Tony D NXT Championship run, and he's going to take that from Oba. And that's my opinion. I think we're going to rehash that. That allows Oba to move his way to Raw or SmackDown and become a dominant force. And then Tony D can, maybe feud with Stax Lorenzo again if he's the champion. So to me, I think Tony D is a huge contender. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, no, Tony D is definitely a name. And then I also think Dion Lennox, Dark State, Dion Lennox. We've discussed it. We've seen the backstage promos with him and Oba. They want to build him up. They want to build him as the leader of Dark State. And in the beginning of Dark State, we weren't fans. Hands up, we were not fans. But it's starting to grow. They're starting to get their personality, which I appreciate and I like. But those are two names that stand out to me right away. It would be Tony D as his return, and then Dion Lennox. DNC Digital followed you guys, by the way. Thank you for the follow. For anyone that's watching and would love to follow us, you have at the 10 Count Pod on YouTube and all socials. And then I am at JStar02 on X. Ty is at TLP_maximum on X. And then obviously follow all of Body Slam. But I'll also plug all that at the end of the podcast, which will be in a little bit. Then we got DNC Digital, YouTube. They got to work fast at developing stars. There are more solidified main eventers on the women's side than there are on the men's side. It's about to get real crowded.
Yeah, no qualms. I agree. I think that the men's side's been lacking. We've spoken about this in the past. The women's just have been go-getters in NXT, on SmackDown and Raw, even on Evolve, right? So I think the men have a lot to compete with. I don't think they realize that they're competing with the women in a way for time. If you look at Raw, right? What happened on Monday Night Raw? We had Stephanie Valkyrie versus, Nikki and Roxanne. We had Maxine come out. We had the segment with the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea and Io. And also with Maxine, obviously Becky intervened. And we also have Roxanne and Liv stirring some crap up. So the women are taking a nice chunk of the time. And I think the men have to start realizing that, they need to step up. They're getting dominated by the women, especially on NXT. When you look at NXT, it's mainly women driven for the most part, and rightfully so. They deserve it. They're kicking their ass. They're showing up. They're doing what they need to be on the card and be in the main event. So I think the men don't realize that they are competing for time in that spot against the woman. You might be looking at the men next to you and say, I want to be the main event guy. I want to be the NXT champion. I want to be the next Obafemi. But dude, if you want to get more time on the card, you got to try and start being better than the woman.
Yeah. And even watching NXT, you watch a weekly NXT episode, and most of it's taken up by the women, rightfully so. There's more women's matches than there are men's matches, and that's because they've been better. It's like they want it more. And as to, you bring up Raw last night, you're right. It was very dominated by the women. Once again, rightfully so. I feel like on Raw, the men's mid card is non-existent. It's non-existent. Like, truthfully, it's the Vision, it's CM Punk, it's, you have Rey Mysterio over there. You had the return of Penta last night, which was great, but there's no mid card on Raw for the men. And that's why it's so dominated by the women. And you have Maxine doing the promo with Becky because it's just main event material for Raw. So I'm hoping, like you said, with the switch over to 3 hours for SmackDown, at least we're going to get more involved with the mid card and then, the mid card for the men's main roster, because it's just, once again, non-existent right now, at least for me. Can't wait for Ren Sinclair to break out. Known her for years, and she was a star as soon as I saw her in the Indies. Ren is amazing. The Ren QCC is amazing. I cannot wait to see Ren and Kendall just take over. I cannot wait. I love everything that they're doing.
Yeah, I kind of want to swing back a little bit to what you were saying about the men's mid card, especially for Raw. And Dominic's been holding it down, but who does he fight at this point, right? I know he's hurt, right? So he's out indefinitely. Finn Balor mentioned that in his, Netflix commercial segment. But it's, who do they feed next to the Intercontinental Championship? I know Finn says he's going to carry the Judgment Day on his back, but we have Finn Balor, right? What is he being used for besides the tag division, right? He should be in that mid card. He should be in the main event. But, I don't think he's going to be there right now. But there's a lot of guys that I don't think really are showing up and putting their effort in. They kind of back themselves in a corner with Gunther. He's not going to challenge for the championship right now. They took Jay out the solo, right? He's a 9-time now world tag team champion with his brother again. They are the tag team champions. Hopefully they start focusing more on the Raw tag division, right? They were doing that with AJ and Dragon Lee a little bit, but now with the Usos at the helm, like, you need to pull the trigger on that division too. That's why I get, people love the 2.5 hour Raw, dude, but that extra 30 minutes, it would help build some people up, man. I know people hate the 3 hours, but in my opinion, I think in the day and age we have with the championships we have lined up on these shows, it needs to be 3 hours. So I think until Raw starts to push that a little bit and start going a little time heavy towards that 3 hours, I feel like the men's mid card on Raw is not going to be great.
I need to ask you before we sign off. I need to know your thoughts on the main event. Obviously, we had the Usos, 9-time world tag team champions. What did you think? Because obviously you saw Jay and Jimmy. They had their discussions. They said that we have each other. You have to remember who you are, Jay. And we saw some heel tendencies from the Usos. We saw some heelish moves from the Usos. So what are you thinking? Are we going to get the heel Usos back?
No,
I
think thought... no. So this is my interpretation of why this happened. Jey Uso is still incredibly over. He is still pushing probably a lot of money, a lot of merch. If they feel like he's not doing great in the main event scene, why not bring him back to his roots with his brother when the people loved him a shit ton, even on the Bloodline when they were heels, and bring them back to tag team gold? And that's what they did. Now they're going to be in the forefront of every Raw. That's why I think the tag division for Raw is going to be very forefront, because they want Jey Uso yeeting down the sidelines through the arena. They do it all the time. And I think that's why they're doing it. I think it's a money move. I think it's smart by WWE and TKO to say, hey, we need a championship on Jey. He moves money. He may not, be at that point where he can still be in the main event and he can still work for it by being a tag team champion again, but he needs a championship. So why not put him back with his brother? And I think that's what we're seeing, especially with the chatter of people saying, Jimmy's the better promo artist, than Jey, and kind of is. So, I mean, I think that's why.
So you don't think we're going to get the heel Usos anytime too soon? Because like I said, those heel tendencies you saw, behind the ref's back 2 or 3 times during that match, attacking whether it be Dragon Lee or AJ Styles. So I maybe they just they walk the line, you know, they walk the fine line between heel and face, and maybe down the road we will see it. I don't know. I just definitely thought it was interesting to see the Usos use those tactics.
Yeah.
But we are going to wrap it up there. Thank you all for joining us. If you look down below, please go join the Body Slam Patreon. It's $5 a month. You get the exclusive interviews, breaking news, rumors, and more. They're crushing it over there. We also have top right. Whoa, it switched on me. Top right corner. You have a QR code. If you want to go and scan that with your phone, it brings you to ProWrestlingTees.com, and it is the official merch of our show, the 10 Count Podcast and the Quick Count. And thank you all for joining us today or tonight on this rant. Thank you, DNC Digital. Great show, guys. We appreciate you. Thank you to all of you. This is what we love. This was supposed to be a Monday Night Raw thoughts episode, and it turned into just hanging out, chilling with everyone watching, and just talking wrestling, which is exactly what we love.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm sorry I'm cutting it short because I got a time crunch today, unfortunately. So thanks for all the comments. Thanks for engaging us. We love engaging you guys. We love hearing people's questions and opinions on matters too, because it's just fun. It's just really fun. So thank you guys.
And then obviously we will take the voicemails. So if go to my X, there is the link. I will always post it probably Mondays or Tuesdays to get the questions in throughout the week. We will listen to the questions, or even if you just want to leave us a comment, say what's up. We will play it live on our show. We appreciate you all so much. We hope you had tremendous holidays, and tomorrow, Happy New Year. The next time we see you guys, it'll be 2026. Only bigger and better things for the 10 Count Podcast.
And
Please
we
go
have the
subscribe.
living room. Let's
Yeah,
go.
dude. I love it. I was like, oh my God, it looks so good. Not blurry background. I love it.
Now I got a canvas to paint back here. I can
yes.
put shit up there. So
hell yeah, brother. At the 10 Count Pod on all socials. YouTube's the big one. Please go subscribe. It only takes 2 seconds to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you all who have.
Matt,
and then you have at JStar on X. That is my Twitter. At TLP_maximum on X for Ty. And then we have thanks, broskies. Let's go back to being dads. Facts. Yes. Follow the shows and Twitter too. Thank you, DNC. We appreciate you. Thank you all so much. Sunday, hopefully we'll get a quick count in. Hopefully. But it hasn't been looking pretty. We're dads. We have things to do, especially during the holiday season. But if we can do it, we will do it. But I know we will be back next week for the 10 Count Podcast live on YouTube, X, and all those fun things. Until then, enjoy your New Year's. Be safe. And we will see you all in 2026. Have a great one.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.